Joining us now to talk more about these issues, Robert Johnson. He's former CEO of Black Entertainment Television and now chairman of the RLJ Companies, an investment firm that he founded. Also with us, Mark Zandi, chief economist of Moody's Analytics. Gentlemen, welcome to you both. Let me begin with you, Mark, and ask you that, you heard our report, still a lot of Americans out of work. Where are they going to find jobs? And will we ever, find those jobs? Will those lost jobs from a couple of years ago ever come back?
Yeah, there will be more jobs. I think housing will be a key source of jobs over the next 2 to 3 years. Home construction will pick up quite significantly. That's construction jobs, manufacturing, trucking jobs, financial services, landscaping, cable hookup, retail, a lot of jobs. And that should help alleviate some of the unemployment problems in different parts of the country. Longer run, I would expect more job growth in high-end services, accounting, legal, media, advertising, computer data processing, management consulting. Of course, those are very highly skilled jobs, require lots of education, and they're for the high end.
Mr. Johnson, your businesses touch a lot of corners of the American economy, from media to automobiles to finance. Are you hiring this year? And if so, are you able to find the kinds of employees to fill those jobs?
Well, I think, Tyler, that the way we look at hiring across all the companies that we have investments or ownership in, whether it's automobiles, hotels, financial services, private equity companies that we acquire, it's based on where we're going to find the productivity. And if we can find the productivity in more people doing the right kinds of jobs, we will hire. But we can find productivity and more innovation and more technology. We look at it that way. And I think that's where most of the businesses where I either serve on a board or involved in look at the particular labor market today. We want to see more people working, but we have to have more people working in a productive manner, generating the kind of products and services that the consumer is ready to buy, and also allowing us to compete with lower cost labor and more efficient services abroad.
We hear from people who are out of work how much they do want to work, Mark. And yet there's one group that seems most vulnerable, according to a lot of the surveys that I've seen. These are the people who are around 50 years old or so, maybe making under $50,000 a year. They're very vulnerable. They're very anxious about their future and their inability to find work. I mean, what's the prognosis for these people? And if they don't find work, what does it mean for the economy?
Yeah, I worry a lot about this group. If you're in your 50s, early 60s, you've been out of work for some time, your skill set's eroding, your marketability is eroding. To get back into the workforce is going to take a big effort, a big change. You're going to have to move. You're going to have to go back and get new skills, re-educate. It's going to be very, very difficult to get this group re-engaged in the labor force and back working again. If we're unsuccessful in getting these folks back into the workforce working again, the economy is going to be much diminished. These folks have lots of experience, lots of talents. They want to work, and the economy is going to be a lot smaller because we can't engage them. And moreover, it's going to be tough on us fiscally because if these folks can't work, then they're going to demand and need government services. They're going to call upon Social Security earlier than they otherwise would, and Medicare and Medicaid. And so it's going to put pressure on government and on our deficits and budget. So we have to work really hard to get that group back in. But I'll have to say, Susie, that's the group I worry about the most going forward.
Mr. Johnson, let me turn the conversation to a topic that has become sort of front burner in recent weeks, and that is one of income and wealth inequality. You're a self-made guy, but I know you think about the gap between rich and poor in the United States, which seems only to be expanding. How would you go about addressing that? How worried are you about it? What would you do to fix it?
Well, let me first echo what Mark said. I think when you look at the demographics of the United States and therefore the United States labor force and also the consumer group, more and more of those individuals are going to be minorities, African Americans and Hispanics. And if we don't provide a way to effectively introduce this group to the labor market in a way that they can accumulate decent paying jobs and therefore wealth in home ownership and other assets, we will have some very serious not only fiscal problems in this country, but also, I think, social problems. So to your question, my belief is that in order to change the dynamics, you've got to do something with the tax code to encourage businesses to invest in urban areas, to encourage business to put money into the hands of minority entrepreneurs, because minority entrepreneurs tend to hire minority workers just because they live in the neighborhood for the most part, and that's where their particular culture is. And so to me, you've got to play around the tax code. We got trillions of dollars sitting offshore. How about bringing some of that money back in the United States under a program where if a company invests in an urban area or invests with minority businesses, that they get a tax deduction, the country gets the benefit, more and more people are put to work. I've even proposed something that I borrowed from the NFL called the RLJ rule, like the NFL's Rooney rule, which says a owner in the NFL must interview an African-American coach potentially before hiring one. I think if we adopted that for all corporate America, that would say that before you could fill a vacancy or fill a position, you must interview a minority candidate for a job. I think we begin to put the focus on where jobs are needed, and that's in reducing the number of African Americans and other minorities who are grossly underemployed in this country.
Well, it's an ongoing debate for sure, Mr. Johnson. Thank you so much for your thoughts. And you as well, Mark. We appreciate both of you joining us today. Robert Johnson of the RLJ Companies and Mark Zandi of Moody's Analytics.